Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Lucy Bologna. I'm the Head of Marketing and Communications for the Cancer Association of South Africa. And thank you for joining. We're going to be talking about a very important topic, melanoma. It's World Melanoma Day today. So important that we educate and share information so that we can all learn to lower our cancer risk. And I've got a very special guest, Dr. Donny Fick, or Dr. Donny as he's commonly known. And then we also have Lorraine Govender, who is our National Manager for Health Promotion at CANSA. Just to let you know what to expect, we're going to have a quick presentation by Dr. Donny, and then Lorraine is going to share a few words, and you'll all have the opportunity to ask any questions after Dr. Donny's presentation. So you know what, let's get straight into it. I think one of the things just to mention is that melanoma is in the top 5 cancers. All of a sudden, it's appeared according to the National Cancer Registry. So it's very important that we learn as much as we can. So I'd like to introduce our first guest, Dr. Donny. He's a general practitioner in Johannesburg. He's an advocate for sun-smart awareness. We're so excited to have him on board as an ambassador for us. He's a key opinion leader for L'Oreal Dermatological Beauty. He has a keen interest in skin cancers and skin pathology after spending 5 years in the plastic and reconstructive surgery team at Mill Park Hospital, where they would do a lot of excisions of skin cancers and melanoma. He also works in medicine on South African Idols, Big Brother, Miss South Africa, and Scandal TV show. And please, we need you to listen because he's actually got a wonderful hamper to give away from one of his brands that he's partnered with. And how it's going to work, he's going to ask you a question and fastest finger will apply. So you have to practice and make sure that you can answer in the comment box. Once he's asked the question, we'll alert you, but let's get on to it. So Dr. Donny, I'm handing over to you.
Thank you so much, Lucy. World Melanoma Day, the 23rd of May. I think we've been discussing a lot about this leading up to the event. It's good to finally be here on the day of the event. There's been a lot of campaigns and education going on in the background, but it's nice to having worked towards an event to get there today and just to spread awareness and spread education. And as much as I'm a doctor and we see these things quite often and quite frequently, I think today we wear the hat of normal South African, and South Africans love being in the outdoors. We love being in the sun. We're a country known for that. And also as a runner, I think it's, I don't know, maybe just my world's filled with running people and the things that I open my eyes to, but it's 2 weeks. I'm not running comrades, but apparently it's just over 2 weeks away to the biggest running marathon in the country, arguably in the world. We've just come off the back of a nice Two Oceans marathon where we've done a whole skin cancer campaign as well. So lots of running, and running involves spending a lot of time in the sun. And I think what's the winning time at Comrades? Just shy of 5.5 hours. That's for the elite runners. That's a lot of time in the sun, being exposed to the sun. But it's also the people that run for 12 hours, the people that train, I think, hundreds of kilometers a week. There's a lot of exposure to the sun. So we just want to say that as South Africans, we love the sun. We love spending time in the sun. We love being active and outdoors, but obviously that comes with a bit of a risk as well. We just want to guide the general population, the active population as well, as just a few tips and tricks as to how to protect themselves when they're in the sun and spending a lot of time in the sun. So I'm a little bit technologically challenged. I'm going to share my presentation now. We did a run of this earlier. Hopefully it works again. And there we go. And the title of tonight's talk is You Can't Outrun the Sun. There's no sub-sunburn pace. I mean, leading up to the Comrades Marathon, if you chat to any runner, one of the first things they'll ever ask you or talk to you about is like, what is your pace? What pace are you aiming to do? What time are you intending to do at this year's Comrades or any running events as well? We'd like to tell you that no matter how fast you run and how good an athlete you are, unfortunately, you can't outrun the damaging rays of the sun. So as we said earlier, we want to teach you a few tips and tricks as to how to prevent yourself from getting damaged. So as I said earlier, my name is Donny Fick. I'm a general practitioner in Melville. I help a few brands just to promote sun awareness, but also a runner. And that photo was a very long time ago. Things do change, your body does change, but the sun doesn't. If anything, the sun is getting a little bit stronger with climate change. So yes, as I said, in running circles, we always talk about the marathons that we did or the marathons that we want to do. And these are some of the bigger ones in the world. We've got Tokyo, New York, Chicago, Boston, Berlin, London, two oceans. Sorry, I didn't put a logo of the Comrades Marathon out there. But in my world, and I think worldwide, running is definitely like riding the crest of the wave at the moment. These big marathons, everyone wants to get into them. So here's a little interesting fact around some of these marathons. When we talk sun damage, we often talk UV index. Now, what UV index is, the ultraviolet index is a tool used to measure the damaging UV rays in a specific place at a specific time, and thus the amount of protection that you'll need. It's kind of graded. 1 to 2 is a low UV index, 3 to 5 is medium, 6 to 7 is high, 8 to 10 is very high, and 11 to 12 is extremely high. And these are the areas that need extra protection, unlike the medium and high risk areas that require just protection. So when we go back to those marathons, those favorite worldwide marathons that we look at, and hopefully some of us have run, some of us want to run, the average UV index at the Tokyo Marathon is about 6 to 8, so medium. Berlin averages around 7 to 8. New York averages around 7 to 8. London, 7 to 8. Johannesburg's around 12. So that's where I'm based in Johannesburg. So we've got a very high UV index. And Cape Town always around 10. Now, according to the WHO guidelines, any UV index above 8 means seek shade immediately. Sunscreen is a must. Now, most of us run in Joburg and Cape Town with very high UV indexes, but how many of us actually take the necessary precautions that we should? How many of us run with hats? How many of us run outside of the peak sun time areas in terms of the times of the day? And how many of us actually use sunscreen? That's kind of the take-home message today is we're highly exposed in South Africa. Not only do we have the most beautiful marathons in terms of two oceans, some of the more grueling marathons in terms of comrades, but also some of the most dangerous when it comes to UV exposure as well. So for the simplicity of this talk, we're going to talk about two ultraviolet rays. So what are ultraviolet rays? We're going to break them down into UVA and UVB rays. UVA accounts for about 95% of the rays from the sun. These penetrate deeper into the skin. It causes aging, pigmentation, cellular damage, which could eventually lead to cancer. And UVB rays only account for about 5%. And simply put, this causes the burning. The thing that we should advocate against, lots of South Africans are like, we want to go to the beach, we want to tan, we want to burn, we want that red glow. That's really not a good idea. We want to advocate away from that. So that's the UVB rays that causes that. But the UVA rays cause longer term damage in terms of aging, wrinkling in your face, and the cellular damage, as we said earlier, that could lead to cancer. So UVA, everyone talks about UVB rays. That's always been the catchphrase around sun damage. But some of us, the somewhat forgotten, somewhat underplayed UVA rays. And I'd like to share and shed, no pun intended, some light on UVA rays today and the most important message that you can take home from this talk is that you can't hide from the UVA rays. You can't run from it either. UVB rays, we always say, if you're in the shade, if you're in a room, if you're in your house, and you're wearing certain protective clothes, UVB rays won't harm you. But unfortunately, UV rays I'd like to always say like UVA stands for always, because it's always there. It goes through clouds, through windows, through tinted windows. You don't necessarily need to be out in the sun at a beach day or at a braai to be exposed to UVA rays. It goes through the windows of your car and can cause damage. When you're sitting at home, it goes through some of the windows as well. And that's why we really advocate the use of daily photo protection, daily measures to protect yourself against the damaging UVA rays for that matter. And because it penetrates deeper into the skin, that's what causes more damage as well and can lead to cell mutation. So please pay more attention to UVA rays. Lots of people turn around and tell you that you only need to wear protection when you're in the direct sunlight. That is a myth. That is not the case. UVA rays are the damaging ones, and those you need constant protection. As I said, UVA is for always. Always protect yourself against UVA rays. And that's why daily photo protection is important. So unfortunately, South Africa is fast becoming the skin cancer capital of the world. Since the COVID pandemic, in South Africa, there's been an increase in about 23% in people who have taken up running as a sport or a hobby. And that's such good news. People need to get outdoors. They need to exercise. It's good for their mental health. It's good for the COVID weight that we might or might not have picked up in those 3 years of lockdown. And it's just generally good for your general health. However, we spend much more time in the sun and we have very harsh sunlight here. So South Africa is fast overtaking Australia as the skin cancer capital of the world. Australia should be a role model to us. They've done great things and they've taken great steps in terms of protection, awareness, and education with slip, slap, slop. And I think we could learn a lot from them and just educate and raise awareness. And that's why tonight is so important. That's why days like World Melanoma Day is so important, because education, awareness, and early detection and treatment still is the gold standard. So just as, like Lucy mentioned this earlier, like melanoma is now in the top 5 cancers in South Africa. A colleague of mine and a good dermatologist, Dr. Taryn Jacobs, went to a skin conference in Dubai. And this is a picture that she took from there, that cancers of skin origin now represent the #1 diagnosed cancer in Europe. So as we see, like we've given a lot of attention to prostate cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer, and rightfully so, and sometimes often downplayed skin cancer, or maybe not given much awareness or education to it. And I think it's time to change that narrative, because as we can see, and as Lucy mentioned earlier, that skin cancers are becoming more and more of a problem. So even though it is, and as I said, awareness is 100% important, but a large percentage of these cancers are preventable as well. And there's simple tools and simple methods that we can use to protect ourselves against this. The solution: daily photo protection and sunscreen. What if I were to tell you that there was a magic potion, right? And sometimes maybe a little bit dramatic, but a magic potion that you could use daily that would significantly reduce your risk of skin cancer. You definitely do it. I get patients in my practice all the time saying, "Doctor, what can I do to reduce my risk of breast cancer? What can I do to reduce my risk of colon cancer, prostate cancer?" Some of those aren't as easy to do, but when it comes to skin cancer, there are scientifically proven methods that you can use to stop yourself or reduce your risk from getting skin cancer. So just to briefly skim over this and not to get into so much scientific detail, basically there's squamous cell carcinomas, basal cell carcinomas, and malignant melanomas. Some of the risk factors are: the lighter your skin type, obviously the higher the risk. Do you have a family history of skin cancer? And unfortunately, the more moles you have on your body, the higher the risk. So and obviously the more sun exposure, whether that recreational or occupational, the higher the risk as well. Some tips: when you've got moles and you've got lesions that are a little bit suspicious and that you want to look into, there's the ABCDE method. A for asymmetry. If your mole's asymmetrical, rather go and have it checked out. B, if the border is irregular, go and have it checked out. C, color. If the color is inconsistent, so there's different shades of color throughout your lesion, please rather go and have that checked out. Diameter, size of the lesion. And importantly, and this is what patients often talk about, is E for evolution. Has that lesion changed over time? And my statement to patients always is, if you're worried about it, clearly there's something nagging at the back of your brain, rather go and have that checked out. So when in doubt, rather go and have that seen to by a healthcare professional as well. So I want to talk specifically about sunscreen today, and let's butt some of the myths around sunscreen and running. When I do my own little clinical trials out in the running groups that I run in, I often ask questions as to who's wearing sunscreen. Most people sadly say they don't. And there's a few reasons that they give me as to why they don't do it. We've got some answers to combat that or counteract those statements that most of the people say when it comes to sunscreen. I only need to wear sunscreen if the sun is shining. That is definitely a myth. And as we said earlier, those deep penetrating UVA rays are always around. And that's why we always need sunscreen to protect ourselves, as well as hats, seeking shade, protective clothing as well. So the question always is, but I run very early in the morning when the peak sunlight isn't out, you still need protection against that. If it's a cloudy day, you still need protection against those UVA rays as well. Sunscreen is only for people with fair skin. I have enough melanin and therefore never sunburn. Also a myth: all skin tones burn. All skin tones have a risk of developing cancer. I think I saw something on the cancer Instagram page today of a lady with a darker skin tone that had malignant melanoma in her 20s. That was quite an interesting story, and also just debunks that myth as well, that only fairer skinned people get skin cancers. I don't like the way it burns my eyes when I run. Yes, there are some formulations that run down your forehead. They get into your eyes when you're running for long periods of time. The newer formulations out there don't do that. Choose a sunscreen that doesn't run into your eyes. If you've got any questions, we'll be able to guide you on that a little bit later as well. I hate the white cast it leaves on my skin. It looks bad in all my running photos. And you know, lots of us running is all about the gram and Instagram. As said earlier, the newer formulations don't leave that white cast on your face. And that's particularly important for people with darker skin types. They often say they don't wear sunscreen because it gives them that ashy look, that gray look that they don't quite like. As I said, they've made newer formulations now that don't do that and are suited to our South African population as well. Sunscreen prevents me from absorbing vitamin D. Lots of people say to me, Don, if I wear sunscreen, I won't get enough vitamin D, and it's important for me to be in the sunlight to get vitamin D. Absolute myth. That's not the case. You still absorb enough vitamin D from that. It causes acne. Also not 100% true. There are also newer formulations there that are not comedogenic, that doesn't block up the pores and cause acne. So there's enough reason, pretty much saying there's no excuse for you not to use sunscreen when you're out in the sun or daily or when you're running or doing sports activities. So when it comes to choosing a sunscreen, SPF 50 and above. However, SPF as a single parameter is not enough. SPF is only a measure of how well a sunscreen will protect you from UVB rays and burning. Your sunscreen also needs to have a high UVA and UVB protective layer. You need a good UVA filter. Also, please be aware that sunscreens themselves do expire as well. Just because you've had it since 2005 doesn't mean it's still viable today. Also, keep your sunscreen out of the sun. And most importantly, reapply it every 2 hours when you are in direct sunlight. Thank you so much for listening to my talk. We wanted to keep it brief. I don't run fast, but hopefully we got through this presentation quick enough, and leaving you with some good take-home points as well. As I said earlier to Lucy, we have a hamper to give away. My main question is, what makes UVA so dangerous, and why should we protect ourselves against it? If someone can give me an answer to that in the chat box, there is a hamper from L'Oreal Dermatological Beauty and Anthelios coming your way.
Thank you. Okay, so remember, it's fastest finger first. Who answers first will get that. And that was actually so interesting. As a runner myself, I think I learned so much. I always also had that conversation about, oh, we run early in the morning. Is the sun so strong? And it's actually so important to know it doesn't matter. And I couldn't believe that the UV index is particularly high in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Gosh, 12 can be up to 12.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's so easy. You can actually just look at that on your iPhone. I think most smartphones these days on the weather app will give you a UV index, and that just shows you how exposed we are in South Africa.
Gosh. Okay. So before we do the hamper quickly, if there are any questions, please do use the chat, or, you know, so that we can ask him. And while we have Dr. Donny here, he's so in demand. He's going to be leaving us soon. He's jumping on to the next one. So, oh, okay. Let's just see. Wow, we've got an answer. And how is this? Okay, so do we accept the first one? It says it's always out there, because you asked the question. That was the first. Yes.
And that's quite a nice thing, because that's I like that, because, you know, I always say UVA always out there. And I like that answer. So.
And you know what? That is Naniki Saboni, who we featured today. Naniki is actually a skin cancer survivor. So Naniki, I don't know if. Yes,
that's the post that I referred to a little bit earlier as well. So yes, that's even better and well deserved.
I'm so excited for you, Naniki. Well done. Fantastic. I'm so glad you joined us. She's a real avid skin cancer survivor as well, an advocate, and always shares her story. Particularly, you know, she busts that myth that it's only for lighter fair skin people. Yeah. So it's about educating people. And she comes from Soweto. And thank you for joining us. And I'm glad you won. Okay. Are there any questions from anybody else? Anybody want to, you can use the chat box. It doesn't look like it. Okay, so if you're welcome to stay, Dr. Donny.
Thank you so much for having me on this chat. And yeah, thank you so much for having this. I think it's so important, and for hosting this, and look forward to doing more around skin cancer awareness.
Absolutely. Thank you. We so appreciate it. Very important. Thank you for sharing. Bye-bye. Okay, so I think I find that really great. So if we've got any runners that have joined, welcome. It's always good that we learn as much as we can, and anybody does cycling or out in the sun. And then I'm going to hand over to Lorraine. Lorraine Govender is our National Manager for Health Promotion. She's been at Cancer Association of South Africa for many years. She's also an ex-nurse. So she's going to tell us quickly, just going to share how we as CANSA, how we are educating about skin cancer and melanoma.
Okay, good evening, Lucy, and good evening to everyone that's joined today's webinar. It's so interesting, Lucy, to see that we have quite a lot of our volunteers here this evening as well. So it's good to see the interest in wanting to know more. I think Doctor has really shed quite a strong light in terms of the dangers of, you know, our UVA and UVB radiation and how it affects us. But I would like to tell everyone here that, you know what, it is really very serious. As Lucy mentioned, it's among the top 5 cancers, melanoma. It wasn't there previously, and it's now featuring as the top 5. So that again reinforces the dangers of the sun. But the good news is that CANSA has got excellent programs to actually assist the public. And one of the programs is our skin cancer screening. So I'm sure many of you may have heard of the clinical mole analysis and the photo finder mole analysis that we use. So, you know, this method helps us to detect abnormalities of the skin, indicating that there is a possibility of melanoma or other types of skin cancer. Now, the clinical mole analysis is usually done by a trained professional nurse who will clinically assess a mole according to the globally accepted screening guides, which is what Doctor also mentioned, the ABCDE screening guides. Now, the photo finder mole analysis is when we use the equipment to actually screen a person. So this is an enhanced clinical mole analysis to detect suspicious moles via a photo finder, which is an electronic device that measures the risk profile of the mole. Now, as Doctor has mentioned earlier on as well, we all need to be aware of skin cancer, and it doesn't just affect people of light skin, it can affect all skin types. And as Lucy has also mentioned, Naniki is in the group today, and she is a skin cancer survivor, diagnosed quite early. So I think it's important to note that skin cancer and melanoma can touch anyone. So if you would like to know more about which moles you're concerned about, you can also go to our website and look at more information. Now, we also provide this service at various of our care centers. And because it's equipment, we don't have it at all our cancer care centers. So in order to find out more, you would need to contact the local cancer care center and book an appointment, because it's quite sought after tool that we use. And also we're very excited, Lucy, that there are a lot of corporates that are embracing you know, the screening and using the equipment as well and calling us in. Now, I also know Leilani is in the group today. And what is even more exciting is that we are providing this service at quite a few of our APSA races. So please be on the lookout for that, where we have our nurses on board that will screen. So please do participate in our APSA races, because being cancer active is something that we really promote at CANSA in order to ensure that we lead a balanced lifestyle. And as Dr. Fick has also mentioned, we want people to be active. We want people to run, but on the other hand, we want you to be safe as well. So getting yourself checked and screened, wearing your sunscreen is equally important. So Lucy, I'm not sure if I should go further into our products, or should we just wait to hear if there's any questions?
I don't see anything in the chat box. The races that Lorraine is actually referring to is the APSA Run Your City race. It's in 5 cities. We've had Kubeka, we've had Cape Town. It's coming up now in Durban and in Tshwane and Johannesburg. So I know Dr. Donny and I will be doing the Johannesburg one. And it's just a 10K, so it's a great way if you want to go there. Usually our cancer active team is there with our cancer service team. So I think, no, I don't see any questions. I think we can carry on, Lorraine.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So, Lucy, often when people think about, okay, what sunscreen do I use? There's like so many there, and we don't know which ones to choose. So, CANSA has made this burden slightly easier for you because we have the CANSA Smart Seal choice. So, as many of you know, we do promote leading a smart, balanced lifestyle. And the CANSA Smart Choice Seal of Recognition is a tool to help make healthier, informed choices. Our products are endorsed, especially our sunscreen. It has gone through various quite rigorous laboratory tests. So it carries the CANSA Seal of Recognition logo on it. So please do look out for these brands that carry our logo because you know that it's safe and you can use it. So just to give you a little bit more information in terms of our Smart Choice endorsement program, we have it in 5 categories, which is the protection, the edible consumer goods, non-edible consumer goods, patient care, physical activity. So all these things that are under the SunSmart fall under the protection category. So these products are offering protection against the natural environmental elements that may lead to cancer, like the solar radiation, contaminated water and air pollution, that may apply in this category. So we definitely, I think what we really, except for the sunscreen, is the products that we have also endorsed, the UV protective garments and apparel, sunglasses, sunshades, solar and radiation warning devices. So these are all products that you can look out for. And, definitely the hats, Lucy, we always say, please, except for wearing your protective clothing, wearing your sunglasses, you need to also look out for the hats that carry our seal of recognition. This has definitely been endorsed and it's been checked. All our products definitely have gone through quite a lot of testing to be able to carry this the seal of recognition in it. Hey.
Thank you, Lorraine. So it's always important when we always think of just sunscreen, but we actually have to remember it's also our clothing. And especially with youngsters, with the little ones, we need to keep them safe. So it's always protecting the ears and the back of the neck. And we're very excited. We have 2 new CANSA Smart Choice partners that have been endorsed and have qualified for the CANSA Seal of Recognition. And they've actually provided us with 2 hampers. And I'm sure you saw there, we've got this wonderful peach color. This is for a lady's hat. This is Musil. This is also a young entrepreneur. And then we've also got Sunkin. This is now, look at these wonderful bucket hats for the kiddies. So we've got these 2 hampers. So it's again going to be fastest finger first. And I think the question I'm going to ask is, whoever answers first is, which category in the CANSA Smart Choice program would Musil hats and Sunkin fall under? I can repeat that again. So which category of the CANSA Smart Choice program would the Musil hats and Sunkin fall under? Sure.
Someone's already.
There we go. We've got, and well, it just shows how people are listening. And we've got Magda. So Magda, you have answered correctly. And Hitakani. Okay, so
Yes.
so what we can do, we are going to give the 1 to Magda and we give the 1 to protection. So category 5. So sorry, Naniki, category 1 is protection. So you were close. So category, yeah. So then it's Magda and Hitakani. And if you please can send us your email addresses so that we can be in touch with you, just so that we can make sure we get that delivery of that prize. And a huge thank you to all our sunscreen partners who are there, are actually part of helping for us to actually lower the skin cancer risk. So thank you. And thank you for that information. Lorraine, it's so important. We often think of not knowing, we need to know about the products, but also about early detection. And it's important that we know that we can go to a cancer care center, or that you can just contact our help desk if you need any screening or if you need any information, or go to a health practitioner. Very important if you see something suspicious.
Yeah. And, Lucy, just to add, our rates are so affordable in terms of the photo finder screening, and yet it can save your life. So, you're cutting out the costs of the other added costs that you would have if you need to go and check yourself up. So please do contact our cancer care centers, and our rates are very affordable. I think Olivia is here on this panel as well in our group. So we are eagerly awaiting your request and your booking to come in for screening. We do from time to time, Lucy, also offer free screening when we do get funding from our donors and grants. So we also, please do look at our website and look out for our Facebook posts. Watch that space, because we do free screening from time to time.
Absolutely. If you follow the provincial pages, your regional Facebook pages, you will see all the free screening when we're able to get it. That's on offer. I think there's something coming up now in May. I think there's lots of screening coming up in May. And also we're touching on World No Tobacco Day, which is the 31st of May. So there we go. Okay, we've got a question wanting to know for screening in Cape Town. Actually, if you go to the CANSA Western Cape page, there is some screening, and I think it's happening on the 31st of May, and I think it's in Athlone. Dorothy's not on here. I can't remember which area, but if you go there, you will find it, or you can just send us an email to info@cansa.org.za, then I can reply and we can send you all that information, and it's wonderful. Okay, we've got one question. There's one question, but I see Dr. Donny is not here, so I'm not sure, perhaps Olivia or you, I don't know if you, Lorraine,
Question, can
yes,
birthmarks lead to skin cancer? So you never know what will cause that change. Even exposure to the sun can cause the birthmarks to change. So for us, as doctors mentioned, the ABCDE, the clinical lookout for any changes is what is important, because nevi and all of that can change can change due to exposure, and therefore can lead to skin cancer.
Great, thank you. Okay, I think that we now have come to the end of our webinar. Thank you very much to Dr. Donny in his absence. That was actually quite interesting. I can't believe how much running has increased. 23% since COVID. It just means more people out in the sun and more reason to learn about melanoma and skin cancer. And Lorraine, thank you for sharing. We're so excited to know that we've got all the screening and that we've got this wonderful care and service program that we can offer as the Cancer Association. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We're going to play out with a short little video about the A, B, C, and D so that you can learn about them. And thank you, everybody, for joining. We will be sharing this recorded version of this webinar on our social media platforms, so please look out for it in the next week. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.